Very good afternoon. I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll wait another 2 minutes, then we'll start our today agenda. So we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes while other participants post to speak. So I think we should start our today webinar. So welcome all of you. I welcome on behalf of QI. I'm Manish Kumar. I'm assistant manager with QI. So I'm looking after basically our training cell. So before proceeding with our today agenda, our today webinar, which is on ensuring impartiality and independence in inspection bodies, overcoming as ISO 17020 challenges. So before proceeding with the session, we can have quick introduction about QI, then our today's speaker, then we can start with the agenda. I hope my presentation is visible to all the participants and slides are moving.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So first, we have quick introduction of QI, then our today faculty, then we have webinar agenda, then we have QA and query and doubt session, then we'll have QI accreditation process. So QI Quality and Accreditation Institute is India's second largest accreditation body, which give accreditation as per the various standard, whether it could be ISO standard or other healthcare standards. So our founding our founder and CEO is Dr. Bhupender Kumar Rana. He is having 25 years of experience in quality, standard development, accreditation, and patient safety. He is a director and CEO in charge of NABH, Quality Council of India, where his visionary leadership transformed the healthcare quality framework in the country. He is a vice chair of the Mutual Recognition Arrangement MRA, Council of Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation APEC. Is founding member of International Academy of Quality and Safety IQAS, member of Scientific Advisory Board, International Alliance of Patient Organization IAPO, is former board member and chairman of the Accreditation Council of International Society for Quality in Healthcare ISQA, international expert of World Health Organization WHO, the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So QI Quality and Accreditation Institute started operation in August 2017. So we started our journey in 2017, and we are EPIC and ILAC MRI signatory for medical testing, ISO 15189, and testing and calibration as per the ISO IC 17025 standard. As I mentioned, we are the largest accreditation body in India, and with accreditation body with a global recognition for ILAC and EPIC, MRI. So QI having a vision, we are QI nurturing the largest global pool of nations and people through quality improvement and accreditation framework. We have some values. Our good listeners, we always seek continuous feedback from the stakeholders, whatever they have concern. So we always open to their query. We are competitive. We look for viable options to benefit users of our services. And QI has adopted transparent policy because whatever the policy which are made available, they are all are available on QI domain. We are innovative. We continuously evolve using co-design and co-creations. We are innovative in terms of the standard developed by QI as per the requirement of our healthcare facilities. We have developed more than 22 of standards as per their requirement. We have a mission to conceive, deliver education, training, accreditation, and related program in partnership with various stakeholders using an approach of co-design and co-creations. So let's talk about care structure. We have four verticals. First is Center for Education and Training, CET, under which we do training as per the different standard, whether it could be ISO standard or healthcare standard. Then CHSC, Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care, under which we offer accreditation for the healthcare facility providers. Then we have CIA, Center for International Accreditation, formerly known as a Center for Laboratory Accreditation, under which we do offer accreditation as per the ISO standards. Then we have Center for Accreditation of Veterinary Facility, under which we offer accreditation for the veterinary service providers. So let's thoroughly go about our CIA vertical, Center for International Accreditation programs. These are the programs we do offer accreditation for the medical laboratories as per the as per the ISO 15189 standard. We also do offer certification for medical laboratories as per the requirement of Central Clinical Establishment Act. We do offer accreditation for the testing and calibration laboratories as per the ISO IC 17025 standard. We become the first body in India, those who offer accreditation for the biobanking as per the ISO 20387 standard. We do offer accreditation for the process testing provider as per the ISO IC 17043 standard. We also do offer accreditation for the inspection bodies as per the ISO IC 17020 standard. We also do offer accreditation for the reference material producer as per the ISO 17034 standard. So CIA program, we have international recognition. We become full member MRI signatory of Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation APEC. We also full member MRI signatory of International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation ILAC. APEC and ILAC, these are the global body. Those are authorize any of the accreditation body throughout the world. So our CIA program is accepted by Bureau of Indian Standard. If you visit BIS website, they have listed all the accreditation body, those who are present in India. So also we also do accepted by Eastern Railway, Central Public Work Department, Directorate General of Quality Assurance, Power Finance Corporation, Coal India Limited, Legal Metrology Department of Consumer Affairs, National Highway Authority of India, Military Engineering Services, Power Grid Corporation of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Rights Limited, Public Work Department, MP Government, BHEL Bhopal, Directorate Urban Administration and Development, MP Bhopal, and National Building Construction Corporation. We are also accepted not only in India, we also accepted worldwide United States Animal Protection Agency, United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, World Organization of Animal Health. So this is a CIA accreditation trend. So far in 2025, we have accredited more than 91 testing and calibration lab or medical labs. So total 240 accreditation we have given under CIA programs. This is a golden seal of quality of QI accreditation mark, which we offer to any of the testing or calibration laboratories, those who successfully complete QI accreditation process. So we have a geographical spread. We are not only limited to India, we have global presence. We have already given accreditation to these countries, labs or hospital. We have presence in Bahrain, Bangladesh, Ghana, Maldives, Mongolia, Morocco, Myanmar, Nepal, Qatar, Lebanon, Bhutan, and UAE. So I would like to introduce our today's speaker. We have very prominent faculty, which is well known in India, Mr. Anil Johri. He's former CEO of National Accreditation Board of for certification bodies, which is NABCB, a constituent board of Quality Council of India, an Indian accreditation body for certification and inspection attached to Ministry of Commerce and Industry. He retired in July 2019 after 6.5 years as a CEO. He has over 45 years of experience in the field of quality standards, certification, accreditation, and technical regulations, having worked earlier in Bureau of Indian Standard, the National Standard Body, and the Export Inspection Council, Indian Official Export Regulator and Certification Body under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. He is nationally and internationally recognized expert, having worked with or been invited by such international bodies as UNFCCC, WTO, UNIDO, PTB, FAO, APO, ADB, and IFC. He's presently working with a group of Ministry of Ayush to develop a system for recognizing Ayush product and services which meet global standards. Technical Committee of Coffee Board for developing a sustainable coffee certification and development of a green hotel certification program. So thank you. This is all about QI and our today's speaker. So I would like to invite Anil Jori sir to take further. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Rana, for inviting me on a topic which is on which I have very hardline views going beyond standards. But today I'll try to speak about the standard itself. Can you, okay. Can you see the presentation now?
So it's coming. Yeah, it's there.
Now it's visible.
Okay, and now it's full scale available?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Okay. So the topic today is, just a moment. The topic today is about impartiality and independence of inspection bodies. So let's start straight away. Let's start with basics. There are two terms being used. One is impartiality. I'm now taking the definition out of 17,000, which is a glossary of term standard. Objectivity with regard to outcome of a conformity assessment activity. That's how impartiality has been defined. It can be called by various terms. It can be called freedom from bias, or it can be called freedom from conflict of interest. We normally use a lot. Conflict of interest is normally used a lot. Independence is slightly different. It's a freedom of a person or organization from the control or authority of another person or organization. So this is the definition of independence given in 17,000. So as you can see, there are two different terms. Impartiality is one, independence is another. Independence means that you are independent from any other organization or person. Probably if I had to define this, I would also add not only control or authority, but also influence of another person or organization. In the crudest form that we see non-independent bodies today in India especially is where husband runs a certification body and the wife runs a consulting. So it would be dangerous to say who is controlling who in that relationship. I mean, we might be wrong in assuming anything, but certainly they can influence each other. So that's independence for you. 1720 also gives a definition of impartiality, which says presence of objectivity. Simple. Which means there are no conflict of interest. If there are, they are resolved, and there are no influences which will affect the results of the inspection body. So here it also talks about several other terms which are used: fairness, open-mindedness, balance, independence. Of course, independence is different, frankly. Freedom from conflict of interest is, we have talked about, freedom from bias, uh, neutrality. Yeah. So these are various terms. So let us tackle, I mean, rather than tackle impartiality first, I am tackling independence first because that's one crucial part of the standard. Unlike certification bodies, let's understand some fundamentals so that we are clear in our mind. Unlike certification bodies and accreditation bodies, which are third-party bodies, you would have seen the definition of certification body or a validation and verification body or an accreditation body. The term used third party. But that is not the term used when you define inspection body or even laboratory, because laboratory can be a manufacturer's laboratory and therefore it's not third party. Same thing applies to inspection body. Inspection body can be a part of an organization. I may have I am a big manufacturer having an inspection wing. Inspection wing which inspects the products in my production line itself, or an inspection wing which also inspects the vendors. So there could be, but I am not a third party because I am attached to a manufacturer. So therefore, independence here, because of this nature, there are independence requirements given in this standard. And there are three types of inspection bodies classified: type A, B, C. As I understand, the revision of ISO 17020 is nearing an end, and you might end up with two types only: one independent, the other non-independent, which might be a better way of saying things. Either you're independent or you're not. So the independent body is the so-called third-party body, where it's independent of people involved in the transaction, as we say. So here, right now, let's stick to this current standard. There are type A and B and C. Now, type B can provide first or second party inspection or both. They can be part of an organization. They can extend services outside also. Type C would be a body which is providing for itself. So that is type C and type B. So in type B and type C, we do not bother too much about conflict of interest or independence, but they're not independent anyway. Impartiality, another thing to understand is that impartiality is fundamental principle in audit or in inspection. Even if you do an internal audit, you are expected to be impartial. So even though you're not independent, you have to be impartial. Impartiality is fundamental to evaluation activity in whichever place we are. Whether it's an internal person or an external person, impartiality is fundamental. Independence can vary. As an internal auditor, I am not independent. As an external auditor who is reputed by somebody else, I am independent. So coming to type A, type A is the one challenge which you face when we assess as an accreditation body, especially which inspection body is type A. If it's a neat inspection body, it does only inspection, nothing else. It's very easy. It's a type A. But frequently we run into organization where inspection body is a part of a larger organization, and there the challenge is to see whether it belongs to type A or not. And type A means it is third party. Now we are talking about the third party inspection agency, which is independent of the parties involved. So in this case, now the requirement is that the inspection body or its personnel shall not engage in any activity that may conflict, they may represent a conflict of interest. So this is third party, which we are saying. And the standard uses certain terms which we should be clear about. It says, shall not be engaged in the design, manufacture, supply, installation, purchase, ownership, use, or maintenance of the items inspected. Now, there are three things here. Number one, items inspected does not mean that the item that you are inspecting should not have been designed by you or manufactured by you. The ILAC interpretation of this expression is that you shall not be in the business of inspecting an item where you are a manufacturer. So it's not a question of the actual item being not manufactured by you, but any item. If you are a manufacturer, say you are a manufacturer of cylinder, any of you who is familiar with LPG cylinder knows that LPG cylinder manufacturer manufactures LPG cylinder, also procures valves which it puts into the cylinder. So he becomes a purchaser of valves. So now you cannot be a type A inspection body for either cylinders or valves, because cylinders you manufacture, valves you purchase. You purchase as a matter of course, because without that your product is not complete. Purchase doesn't mean that if I in my office put an AC, I become a purchaser of AC and I cannot inspect AC. Purchase means a long-term purchase, which is part of your activities. Not, in an office, I purchase one AC, or in my home, I purchase an AC, I become a purchaser. So the item inspected term, you should be clear that you should not be, if you want to be inspection body for say food, then you should not be in anything related to food, design, manufacture, supply, installation, purchase, ownership, use or maintenance. So that is one part. Second part is one term which is missing here and which frequently we encounter when we do assessments of inspection body is what about consulting? Inspection bodies or hygiene audit bodies. Now, consulting per se is not mentioned here. You can see that. But you have to interpret consult. So per se, you cannot say if you're into consulting, it's a conflict of interest. You cannot say. However, you have to analyze that consulting. What is the consulting I'm doing? If I'm implementing, say, GMP, GHP in a food business, then I'm in design of that process. Because I'm inspecting process. Now, if you want to be in the hygiene audit agency, if you are designing, if you are implementing GMP, GHP, you are in the business of consulting on GMP, GHP, then you are in design. So consulting would always have to be analyzed to see. Of course, consulting will never be manufacturing, but consulting can be product design, for example. If you help somebody design, if you are in the business of helping people design their product, you are, as part of your consulting, you are in design of product. If you are advising people on installation as consultant, then you are in installation. So you will have to look at, so please remember this, that you have to look at consulting. If you encounter an organization which is inspection agency and consulting, you have to look at the consulting and you have to see whether consulting conflicts, it constitutes any of the activities which are prohibited. Now, if, for example, if there's a company which is doing, say, food inspection, and it's also doing IT consulting, that's hardly a conflict of interest. It may in some cases maybe, but generally speaking, it's not. So that's possible. So consulting is not mentioned here, but you have to look at consulting and interpret consulting in terms of these definitions, in these terms. So type A, as has been said, shall not be part of a legal entity that is engaged in design, manufacture, supply, installation, purchase, ownership, use, or maintenance of the items inspected. I have already explained what is items inspected. Second part is now about being linked to a legal entity. Now it says IB shall not be linked to a separate legal entity engaged in design. So same items for which you are prohibited from doing as an inspection body, the expectation is that you shall not be linked to another body which is into same prohibited activities. However, it has given a saving clause by saying, it goes on to say that if the outcome is not affected, so it says common ownership except where the owners have no ability to influence the outcome of an inspection. So it has left a kind of leeway that a linked body can be into installation or into manufacture or into supply, as long as you are able to demonstrate that this linked body cannot have influence on outcome of an inspection. So mostly you would see that the owner is common, but that owner has no role in day-to-day inspection. He simply he may be a shareholder, but he has no role at all to play. And therefore, he cannot influence the outcome of inspection, because inspection is happening at a much lower level. Decision making. Please remember also another, that in inspection, usually the inspector is a decision maker. Unlike certification and accreditation, where there's a process of review and decision making. In inspection, I do the inspection, I pass, I declare the result. I have to declare right there. Sometimes results are declared right there in front of the client. You get the client signature, inspection is over. So the ability to influence an inspector is more difficult than to influence the owner of the inspection body or the senior leadership of the inspection body. But the senior leadership of inspection body usually is not involved in decision making, because inspection decisions are taken on site. So it allows linked body, but it has certain stipulations given. But the spirit is that you should, generally speaking, not be linked to a body which is into the prohibited activities. The spirit is this. Or there are common membership appointees or common board members. You have, 3 board members in the inspection body, another 3 in another organization which is into, say, manufacturing, and they are, 2 of them are common. Then it could be a problem. So please remember that linked body is allowed in exceptional circumstances, but you have to demonstrate that the inspection outcomes will not be affected. They should not be directly reporting to the same management. That's another this thing. In a group company, for example, everybody reports to a common holding company. That could become a problem. So again, it's much is left to for demonstration by the inspection body that its results cannot be influenced by its links. Otherwise, it should not have that kind of relationship. But if you see the clause, it starts by saying, shall not be linked to a separate legal entity. So expectation is that you should not be linked to such an entity. However, then it goes on to say, however, if you can prove that the outcome of inspection will not be affected, then, if you are linked by common ownership, or you're linked by board appointments, or you're linked by same reporting, or by contractual commitments, it is still acceptable. Type B, again, is only for organization for where you provide the services. And again, it always says that shall not engage in activities that may conflict the independence of judgment. That is always there because, as I said, inspection, whether you are internal, external, third party, not third party, you have to be impartial. Impartiality is a fundamental requirement in case of both audit and inspection. So that is type B. And type C, where you can provide activities to others also. So this is about independence. Now, also please remember that an inspection body can be type A for some and type B or type C for some. So it's not necessary that the type A inspection body has to be type A for everything. That is possible for inspection bodies to provide type A services in some cases where they are absolutely free of conflict of interest, and provide type B or type C. Of course, type B is totally inside. Type C can be also there. So please remember this when it comes to. Now, the problems that we face is, again, first is, if it's not a neat inspection body, straight away your task becomes, as a accreditation assessor, your task becomes a bit more involved to now examine what other activities the larger entities into, and whether those other entities amount to the prohibited activities, which is design, manufacture, supply, installation, purchase, ownership, use, or maintenance. As I said, consulting is not mentioned here, but if you will frequently find a situation where consulting organizations are into inspection as well, especially in food sector, plenty of them. Then in that case, you have to analyze consulting to see that it doesn't become one of the prohibited activities. Linked activities, we see it's a very normal thing to do that. Okay, if I am into consulting, let me set up a subsidiary and start an inspection body. So that kind of arrangement is possible because the standard does allow, but you have to show that there is no what do you call, influence on the inspection activity, on the outcome of inspection. One of the issues that frequently comes up is what about the memorandum of association? If the memorandum of association or articles of association, whatever it's called, includes activities like design, manufacture, supply, what will you do? Should we now, if I apply for a type A inspection agency, and this is mentioned in my memorandum of association, should we accept that? Should we not accept that? And ultimately, we came to the conclusion that if such a mention is there of prohibited activities in the memorandum of association, we can still accept that, provided I have a board decision that wherever I am going for type A, I will not engage in any of these activities. Because, as I said, that inspection and laboratory are not third party by definition. Certification and accreditation are. And therefore, it's possible for an inspection body to engage in design, manufacture, supply, installation of product X, and it can be a type A for product Y, or vice versa. So we do not become as strict to say that in member association you cannot have these activities. But then I would need a board decision, clear-cut board decision, incorporated into the again then which goes into the quality manual with clear commitment that wherever I am type A, I will not engage in any of these prohibited activities. And then comes the issue of impartiality. Of course, it says inspection activities shall be undertaken impartially, and it should be it should not allow any pressures to compromise impartiality. Another issue that about impartiality, and recently I wrote a long piece on impartiality in one of my columns, which I write monthly, is that impartiality is not about only actual impartiality; it's also about perception. Please remember this. If I audit my son's company, does it look bad? It does, isn't it? Now, I may do a very professional audit. There's no evidence that I did not do a professional audit. You can get it audited by another person. You can get my report reviewed, and you'll find I have done an absolutely professional audit. But the perception, public perception would remain, how can Anil Jauhari be impartial with his son? So you have to handle impartial, this part also. So tomorrow, if Dr. Rana's son starts an inspection body, Dr. Rana would have to take decisions. Can he accept an application from his son's company? Well, maybe yes. Can he go and do an audit of his son's company? No, certainly not. He would have to write that down. Can he take decisions in relation to his son's company? Again, certainly not. Can his number two take decisions relating to his son's company? The file doesn't come to him or the case doesn't come to him? Possibly yes, but then somebody might argue that how much time does it take for Dr. Anand to pick up his phone and tell his number two, you better not meddle with my son or you lose your job. So perception, again, it looks bad. So what do? Maybe Dr. Rana says, okay, let my chairman, who is independent of me, who is higher in position and who is not dependent on me, let him take those decisions. So you have to handle perception. Please remember this about impartiality. Impartiality is not about only being actually impartial. It's also about perception of impartiality. So this is an important part which normally is being ignored. And in fact, in a recent couple of places where I am involved in writing the requirements for certification bodies or validation verification bodies, including UNFCC, we have actually changed the definition to say the inspection body, let's say the inspection body shall be and shall perceive to be impartial. Put both of these, or even define impartiality as presence of objectivity, actual or perceived objectivity, presence of actual or perceived objectivity. So some changes in definition to bring out that in impartiality, perception is an important part that has to be dealt with. Otherwise, we say we are, we are proud of the fact that we rely on objective evidence. That's as auditors community we claim. And we also say that in God we trust, rest all have to show evidence. But in case of impartiality, it's not always evidence. Perception also plays a huge role. Now, the standard also says that you shall identify risk to impartiality on an ongoing basis, and then you have to see from where they are arising. So typically, risk arises from three places. A, from your linked bodies. You are linked to a certain body which is into conflicting activities. We have already talked about that. B, your own activities. If you have activities beyond inspection, some of them may be conflicting. And third is some relationship of personnel, individual relationships. Your own employees. An employee is working with you, his wife is working in a place where you are doing inspection. That's a problem. So, or his son is working somewhere. Things like that. So these three areas, linked bodies, activities within, and personal relationships are the ones which should form the basis of a risk analysis. Please also remember another thing. When an activity is prohibited, there is no risk analysis to be done. It's prohibited, it's prohibited, it's prohibited. That's it. So it's only beyond prohibition that you will do a risk analysis. And the risk analysis for impartiality can depend on several factors. It can be based on ownership, it can be governance, it can be contracts, it can be shared resources. There can be a number of factors which will influence the risk of to impartiality. These have been all listed as a note there, as you can see. Now, one advantage for people like me who have done work across different standards is to draw on some good practices from other standards and reference them. So I'm bringing to you something. What is a risk analysis? What kind of threats are there to impartiality? The best standard for that is ISO 17021, which is on management system certification, incidentally. If you read that, there are principles, clause 4 of that. And I would encourage you to read clause 4 of 1721, even if you are in inspection, where it talks about the principles of certification, which are as applicable to inspection also. And certainly it has more elaboration on, for example, impartiality, some of which I am going to talk to you here. So what are the threats? One is self-interest. Self-interest means that you are, for example, in certification, I am earning money from every client. So that is a threat. Why would I reject a client? I'll grant certification to everybody, or I'll grant for accreditation bodies, same thing. I'll grant accreditation to everybody who comes to me because I'm getting money. That's self-interest. Self-review means you are reviewing your own work. That's why consulting is normally, if you've done consulting somewhere, you cannot be going and inspecting that place or auditing that place because you have manufactured a product and then you are inspecting it. You, as a third party body, you can't do it. That's also a risk to impartiality when you're doing your own work. Even in internal audit, we say that you shall not audit your own work. That's a fundamental again on in internal audit also, on auditing, that you shall not audit your own. Then familiarity threat. I mean, you're too familiar. I go to a particular client once and I do a very professional job. I go second time, we start to become friends. Third time I go in the evening, we have a drink together. Fourth time I'm beginning to trust him. So now when I ask him a question and he responds, I don't insist on evidence. I accept his statement. That is the risk of familiarity. I remember the first assessment in NABCB way back in 2006, where I was involved as an observer, just as an observer. We had a very seasoned assessor who was assessing, and incidentally, it was being observed by PAC, the Pacific Accreditation Cooperation, as part of peer evaluation. And at the end of that evaluation, I still remember the peer evaluators told this very seasoned assessor of NABCB that you were, too trusting. You were not. You were either asking a question, not insisting on evidence. They said something, you move on to the next question. They said something, you move on to the next question. And I realized in retrospect that that was familiarity. He was very familiar with the client, and therefore he was trusting them. So that is another risk to impartiality when you start trusting. Intimidation threats means pressure is put on you. You are intimidated. You go for assessment somewhere as a QAI and somebody tells you, oh, Dr. Anna is my childhood friend. That's a very subtle intimidation. That fellow, look here, if you don't behave, Dr. Anna is my, childhood friend, and I'll go and tell him. At the other side, it could be actual threat to your safety. I remember one of my friends in BIS, when I was in BIS, one of my batchmates, he did an inspection for grant of certification. And after the inspection, the owner of the factory, he took him to his office. He shut the door of the office. He took out a pistol and said, please grant me the license right now. That was the extreme form of intimidation where you are being pressurized. But pressure can come to you from variety of ways. It is threatening you about your job, threatening about your family, etc. So that is also another kind of threat that you can always face. You have to be, cognizant of this part. So that was the part which is borrowed from 1721, just to let you know that the kind of threats which are there, and this is a very useful guide for you to think of. So when you identify there's a risk, then you should be able to demonstrate how do you minimize those, eliminate or minimize. Minimize to a level that your impartiality is not questioned. In 1721, we wrote, actually, I was part of 1721, we wrote that if the risk, which is not there in 1720, if the risk is unacceptable, there can be a possibility that you identify a risk and it's unacceptable risk. In that case, you shall not provide certification. So if I read it for inspection, it would mean if you identify a risk which is unacceptable, you're not able to handle that risk, then you don't provide inspection there. That's all. That's the easiest way. Of course, it's everywhere in every standard that there should be top management commitment to impartiality, which usually we demonstrate by having an impartiality policy. We get the person to write on the policy. itself sign the policy, and that's how we do about impartiality, commitment to impartiality. So the problem usually, I mean, having done a number of assessments of inspection bodies, uh, risk analysis can always be improved. So it's very hard to raise a non-conformity on risk analysis. Let me put it this way. Uh, Unless you miss out very major issues on risk analysis. For example, if you fail to disclose in the risk analysis that, I remember, of course, it's not inspection but certification, but still, I mean, issues can be same. I remember a certification body which failed to disclose that the man who was running the certification body, his wife and son were running consulting. He never disclosed that. So once we came to know, we should have a notice, cancelled his accreditation, because that's a serious uh, with amount to concealment of information. Now, in ISO 17011, please remember there's a clause which says that if there is false submission of false information or concealment of information or fraudulent behavior. So any kind of unethical conduct is covered by fraudulent behavior. If you don't provide the right information, you actually submit false information or you conceal information, you are liable to be, even in certification, your certificate can be cancelled. In case of accreditation, your accreditation can be cancelled. This is a requirement that you should proceed for withdrawal. So concealment of information. So in the risk analysis, you have to disclose every potential situation. In fact, based on the experience that we had on this issue about people having affiliations which were compromising their impartiality, we introduced, I remember in an ABCB at least, that in the application you get the ownership of the conformity system body, whether certification body or inspection body. You get the names of the owners, you get their affiliations, you get their family's affiliations as well. What is your family? We defined the family. Of course, we can't go very far, but the husband, the wife, the kids, the parents, they are immediate family. So you have to find out whether the risk analysis has been done properly. As I said, generally speaking, there is always room for improvement of risk analysis. But if something serious is left out, I would raise a major or a non-conformity, and it could even lead to, as I've given you example, could lead to cancellation of accreditation or rejection of the application as well. So some of the issues that we face are these. So there are certain services as an inspection body you provide which may conflict, which may be considered a threat. You have to analyze them. You may have a related body. You have an MOA which has certain activities which may conflict with impartiality. Then you have to, have a clear commitment that you're not going to engage in those activities. The inspection body personnel have to disclose. Now, self-disclosure I have mentioned here is a must. To my mind, fostering a culture where people disclose their conflicts of interest on their own, or even if they are doubtful, they don't know whether it's a conflict or not, it's best to disclose. So it's very important that you in your inspection body impress on your personnel that please disclose any situation that you think might conflict with your impartiality, because you could pay by losing your accreditation because your employees did not disclose their relationships properly, or you did not ask that question. So self declaration is very important to my mind. In the impartiality issue, to me, other than the prohibition, which are clearly defined, few prohibitions are defined in international standard, and here also you have seen what are the prohibitions. Beyond prohibitions, two things are important as far as impartiality is concerned. One is self disclosure. You will not know unless an employee tells you that his son, his wife, his daughter, or something, is in a situation of which might put him in conflict of interest. If he is doubtful, he still declares that situation, comes to you and asks you, please advise me, is it conflict of interest or not? So that's an important part. And second is a good risk analysis, where you should disclose all potential situations. You should not be hiding anything, because if you hide something like certification body did, you lose your accreditation. So you have to tell. On one part is dependent on your employees. As an inspection body, you tell your employees to self-disclose, to consult if they have any doubt, if they are not sure whether it's conflict or not, please come up and ask, so that you can take a proper call as an inspection body. And secondly, you yourself as an inspection body disclose all potential situations in your risk analysis. If you don't do that, you might end up in trouble. I mean, I can give you some examples of self-disclosure or impartiality, how important impartiality was dealt with when I was in NABCB. I remember we put a team, assessment team, for a certification body, and the assessor came back to me, and you know what he told me? He said, Anil, the owner of this CB and I were batchmates, classmates, 40 years ago, 40 years ago. I don't feel comfortable going there as an assessor. He himself, recused himself, sort of. Now, every standard tells you minimum 2 years separation is good enough. He was 40 years behind, 40 years ago, that they were batchmates, hostel mates. And, in that young age, you are in engineering, you are studying in a hostel, your friends, you do all kinds of things together. So I could understand that. And I said, okay, fine, I'll honor your wish. And we removed him from that. I remember another instance where when we put an assessment team, the team leader came back to me and he said, Anil, I had taken training from this certification body on the same subject. It was FSMS, Food Safety Management Systems. Do you think that's a conflict of interest? That is the culture you should foster, where people come up to you and ask. And when he asked me, I said, I'm not sure whether that is conflict of interest. You took training, say, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But certainly it looks inappropriate that you go and evaluate the same people who had trained you. That to me looks improper. So I took him off that assessment. So these are examples of where people are willing to disclose. We say disclose your relationships. I mean, friendship also can cause. I remember another place where one of my assessors came back to me and he said, this guy I am observing now, I'm going to witness an inspection or an audit. This guy was 6 years ago or 7 years ago with me in the same organization. Do you think that is conflict of interest? So I asked him, I said, you tell me, are you able to act impartially as far as he's concerned? Because the rule book says minimum 2 years separation is good enough. I mean, it may or may not be good enough. He said, yes, I can be impartial. I said, fine, then go ahead. In fact, I got into a similar situation. I was doing an evaluation for IAF, International Accreditation Forum, and that stretched over 3 years. In the meantime, I did not realize, unwittingly, I became an assessor in one of the accreditation bodies in that region. When I realized that, oh my, I'm an assessor in that region in one accreditation body. I'm not even going to observe that accreditation body. I wrote to the chair of IF MLA committee. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this assessment evaluation started in 2019. In 2021, one AB came up to me and said, can you do an assessment for us? Just one assessment. And I became an assessor. And this evaluation is continuing, 22 onwards still. And then he asked me the same question. He said, Anil, can you be impartial? Given this, how much work you have done? I said, I have done nothing except a document review, nothing else. Can you be impartial? I said, yes, I can be impartial because I'm not going to that AB in any case. I'm going to the region. I'm evaluating the region. He said, fine, then go ahead. So there are issues like this which will come up. So I always impress on people that risk analysis and self-disclosure are two very crucial elements of if you are going to maintain impartiality. Be absolutely frank in the risk analysis. Disclose your, if the relationship had been disclosed, that SEBI could have got away with a suspension maybe, because they had certified their wife's company, which was not allowed, and they had certified clients where the wife had done consultancy, which should also be unacceptable. But for not having disclosed, he lost his accreditation forever. So these are the important things. Of course, familiarity threats are not properly identified. How many times, I mean, typically we would ask how many times you think a person should go for inspection to the same place, same client, and after which you will say, okay, now we need to change. But sometimes it's difficult because you may have a very specialized area where there's only one inspector. What do you do? Then you have to find ways. How do you do that? Sometimes maybe you send an observer along, monitor him, send an observer along or somebody to monitor him, etc. You'll have to find ways of dealing with this familiarity part, especially in very specialized area. Intimidation threats, as I told you, anybody can tell you that I know Dr. Rana. Somebody trying to, intimidate his employee. So these are some of the issues that usually have been observed. But as far as impartiality is concerned, my advice is please be frank as far as risk analysis is concerned. please impress on your employees that self-disclosure is very important. If you get into a situation where you're not sure whether it's a conflict or not, it's best to disclose and take the organization into confidence. That will, enhance your reputation as well, and that will keep the inspection body safe. Please remember that one or two such incidents and you can lose accreditation. As an inspection body, it's very important for you to impress on employees to be truthful, because you could lose accreditation because of that. So that's how I conclude my presentation. On to two issues: independence and impartiality, two different issues. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you very much. I don't see any question in the chat box. So if you have any otherwise, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we are open for the query. If you people have, you may still ask. Otherwise, we can proceed with the QA accreditation process. Do you people have any query?
Come on, I mean, some of people should have some questions at least. Some situation, something.
You may unmute yourself also.
I think they can raise their hands and we can get to know if somebody wants to ask a question. Is that it?
Okay, so now I request Ms. Geeta to take further. So she will take QA accreditation process. I welcome Ms. Geeta.
Yeah, thank you, sir. My screen is visible, sir.
Yes, Geeta, you may go ahead.
Okay. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Geeta Kulbe. I'm working as assistant manager in QAI. So let's begin with the accreditation process. So eligibility for QI accreditation. So before applying for accreditation, the applicant body must have met the following condition. First is carried out minimum one internal audit and one management review covering all requirements of the ISO IC 17020 and scope applied for accreditation. Second, participated in one PT proficiency testing if testing calibration is part of the inspection activity. So you can refer to ILEC P9 and ILEC G27 document. In such cases, the requirements of the ISO IC 17025 would be applicable. So one internal audit, management review, and PTILC is required. Then along with it, soft copy of complete application form that is available in our website. Along with the application form, you have to submit soft copy of self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit along with reference documents. So here self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit is based on the requirements of the accreditation standard, that is ISO IC 17020 2012. It gives an opportunity to the inspection body to examine all its documentation and their to examine all its documentation and their implementation. It will also give a comprehensive view of its documentation to the assessment team. So it is our internal document which we have prepared for the easiness of the laboratory or the inspection body. Then soft copy of quality manual management system documentation is required. and prescribed application fee to be paid. And soft copy of signed QA/CIS U02, that is terms and conditions for obtaining and maintaining accreditation certificate. The signed copy of this document to be submitted, and all the above information shall be sent to the given email ID, that is info@qi.org.in. So all communication will be done through the mail. Then the scope of accreditation. So the scope of accreditation may fall into any of the following fields that are mentioned below, okay, but not limited to. So however, the final scope of accreditation would be defined based on the type of activities. Some of the activities are mentioned here, for example, agriculture, fishing, forestry, leather and leather products, publishing companies. These all are the scopes. Now this is the accreditation process flowchart. So this is the process of accreditation. First, you have to submit application plus self-assessment cum documentation review toolkit along with the application fee and quality manual system documentation. This to be done by the inspection body. Then next step is review, registration and acknowledgement of application. That is to be done by the QI/CI Secretariat. Third step is document review and quality management system adequacy. That to be done by the lead assessor. Now, pre-assessment is completely optional. If IB wants to opt it, so we can do it. Otherwise, it is optional by lead assessor or assessment team. Then assessment at head office as well as branch offices. Then after assessment, review of assessment report. This is to be done by the QA/CI Secretariat. Then feedback to IB and necessary corrective actions taken by IB. Then recommendation for accreditation to be done by the panel of reviewers. We have a panel of reviewers who recommend accreditation. Then approval for accreditation by CEO. This is to be done by the CEO. Then issue of accreditation certificate. This is to be done by the QA/CI Secretariat. Then again, you have to submit the application for renewal of accreditation. The time limit is 4 months before expiry of accreditation to complete all the process in the time limit and to do not break the continuity of the accreditation cycle. So you have to submit the application for that 4 months prior to the expiry of accreditation. Now the fee structure. So fee structure based on the World Bank income level classification of countries. And for the detailed fee structure, you can mail us to info@qi.org.in. So if you have any questions, you can ask here or you can mail us to info@qi.org.in or you can visit our website, that is www.qi.org.in. So that's all, Manish sir.
Thank you, Ms. Geeta. So if people have varying doubts from the webinar agenda of your acquisition process, you must ask. And meantime, can we have good photograph also? So we request you to please switch on your camera if you are okay to switch on your camera. We can have one good photograph also. Anil sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Request to other person also if they would like to switch on your camera, we can have one good photograph. Okay, so everyone is ready. Please smile. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session, and thanks to Ms. Geeta to briefly talk about the accreditation process. If people have not any doubts, we may close the session for now.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Anil sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.